Welcome back to the Tracy Take. I'm Tyler here with my brother Ryan, and today we are breaking down the 2024 season for the Cincinnati Bengals. We are going to give the lowest of low possible floors and the highest possible ceiling that you should expect from the Bengals this 2024 season. But before we get into that, be sure to go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and also tackle that bell to get notified when new videos come out. 2024 season is right around the corner, and each week we're going to send out a Bengals prediction video for that week's game that you're not going to miss. So go ahead and tackle that bell to get notified when new videos come out. So Ryan, before we get into that, let's quickly kind of recap on some of the areas that the Bengals had improved on this year. I think one of the things as well is one, they got healthier. I think it's the biggest thing. I mean, whenever you lose Joe Burrow, they had a couple other guys also go down as well. I think they improved in the trenches on both sides of the ball. It's from signing on Trent Brown, getting Amarius Mims as well, helping protect Joe Burrow still even more, getting Sheldon Rankins, and you go get Chris Jenkins with your second overall pick. I think that just seems to be a pretty consistent trend for the Bengals as well. And they didn't bring in some other guys, like they brought Von Bell back to the team as well to help out with secondary.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it just seems like every year that the trenches is one of the main issues. Last year, the injuries were, I would say, pretty big. But is there anywhere else, or do you agree that that is like an area that the Bengals improved on in the 2024 offseason?
I think they improved on it in the offseason. So last year they got Orlando Brown. This year they went out, they got Trent Brown in free agency. Then they go and they get Amarius Mims, who's now dealing with a pec strain. So I think they've improved. But then you mentioned Sheldon Rankins, get Chris Jenkins, McKinley Jackson, and then Cedric Johnson as well in the draft. So they've definitely made the moves to address some of the weak points from last year's team, but I think it will pay off in the long run. I don't know this year. Trent Brown has come in with weight issues. Amarius Mims, like I said, just strained his pec. So hopefully on the defensive side of the ball, things can look a little bit brighter than that offensive line. But
yeah,
they have spent a lot of money on that offensive line. Again, Orlando Brown Jr., I believe it's Joe Tooney, or no, it's Ted Karras that is with the Bengals. They're both former New England guards that left in free agency, so that's why I get them mixed up. Ted Karras, Cordell Volson, both of those guys. Alex Kappa also came over from Tampa Bay, so I like those. I like that interior. Can they just kind of solidify the tackles there? And
the thing to me is I kind of look at this now. I guess Tyler Boyd is technically gone, but and I guess Joe Mixon's gone too. But those were two I would say. Well, Joe Mixon had a bigger impact, but I mean with Chase Brown now they have Zach Moss as well. Like I don't think the loss overall running back. And the reason why I'm going down this route is when I look at this offense, or honestly, actually, really just team as a whole, I almost feel exactly the same way as how I do, and my expectations have not changed for them going into the 2023 season. You know, they need to not start off super slow, and so that's going to be one of the things we kind of get into here in a second with the schedule. But like talent-wise, though, it's like we all know what they can do. I mean, we all saw them do it in 2021, and then they had a great 2022 as well and fell just short to the Kansas City Chiefs as well in the AFC Championship, where they went on that great run. I think they just got bit by the injury bug. So I think that I feel almost the exact same way. My expectations haven't changed really for this Bengals team, especially to arguably the toughest division in the AFC North as well. I mean, they're going to have to come out and play their best games from week one. And so I think and kind of with that, like getting into these first couple of games here, we're going to break the 2024 schedule down into 6-game segments. But starting off week one against your Patriots, week two at Kansas City, it's going to be a great game. Week three hosting Washington on Monday Night Football. Week four at Carolina. Week five hosting Baltimore. It's going to be a great game. And week six at the Giants. And so that's what I'm thinking. Worst case scenario, y'all lose to Kansas City. Not y'all. Sorry. Y'all lose to Cincinnati in week one. But it's the Bengals lose to Kansas City, Baltimore, and then maybe I'll throw in a random game that they lose to one of these other teams, because ironically, then their other four teams they're playing the AFC Championship matchup here, and then 4 of the top 6 worst teams from last year record-wise in their first 6 games. So anything worse than 3-3, let's say they randomly lose one of those games, is I think just the worst possible scenario that we should expect from them.
I will say, not to be a homer, but I think New England could give them some fits. The same reason I think the Giants could give them some fits. Excuse me. Just because I think defensively they should have good pass rushes. They should have good secondary play. So I think those two teams could give the Bengals some fits. Those are also two of the top run defense teams last year. So I think it'll be hard for them to really get anything consistent on the ground going. Ceiling, I would say is 5-1, 4-2. I would say 2-4 is the floor.
2-4
or 3-3 is the floor.
3-3. I think 3-3 and 5-1 is a good spread. I mean, like maybe they lose one game to Kansas City or Baltimore. I mean, technically, I guess they could win both, but it's maybe also allowing them some leeway if they start off slow and lose to New England. But so I think that's a good spread there: 3-3, 5-1 during that 6-game stretch. Week 7 at Cleveland, Week 8 hosting Philly, Week 9 hosting the Las Vegas Raiders, Week 10 playing at Baltimore on Thursday Night Football, so a shortened week, and then at the Los Angeles Chargers on Week 11, and then have a Week 12 bye. But I think coming into it, I will say at minimum, these are fringe playoff teams. I would even consider the Raiders a fringe playoff team. Chargers, a lot of question marks. I think that the Bengals should be able to beat these guys, but they're not going to be easy. I will say I think worst case scenario probably 2-3 during this stretch. The best case scenario though, I can see them going 4-1 here, and honestly, actually even too, I don't see why by 5-0. The only reason I think I might lean towards 4-1 because their two toughest games are both going to be on the road at Cleveland and at Baltimore on a short week.
Yeah, I would say 4-1. They'll probably, if everything is going well, they will probably lose one of those games.
Yeah,
not both. So,
so
and I will say
is the floor.
Yeah, 2-3 is the floor. I will say, excluding last year, they have played very well against the Ravens when this team is fully healthy, just to kind of like set up that matchup a little bit more.
Yeah, and I'm curious too as well because this Ravens historically have had a great defense. They have one of the better coaches in the league in John Harbaugh, but they did, I think, lose a decent bit as well on the defensive side of the ball, and even too actually on the offensive line side of the ball as well. So I'm going to be curious how just the Ravens. I'm sure they'll be fine. I'm sure there's going to be some great matches. It's going to be a great AFC North, but I think once again it's going to be another amazing division battle in the AFC North this year. And so the final 6 games, let's break it down real quick. Week 13 hosting Pittsburgh, Week 14 at Dallas on Monday Night Football, Week 15 at Tennessee, Week 16 hosting Cleveland on a shortened week for Thursday Night Football, Week 17 hosting Denver, and Week 18 at Pittsburgh again. So record-wise, and I think talent on paper-wise, definitely a much easier portion of the schedule here. Playing Cleveland at home on a shortened week is going to be their toughest challenge. I know they're at Dallas on Monday Night Football, but I still kind of like the Bengals in that situation. I'll look at it now, and I know Pittsburgh's going to be tough because it's Pittsburgh. You can convince me that they could go 5-1, or you could convince me that they go 6-0, but I'm probably going to lean more towards 5-1 as their ceiling. And then I think their floor, worst case scenario, though, is I think they split with Pittsburgh, they beat Tennessee, and then they beat Denver. So I think 3-3. It's gonna be
even when Pittsburgh's been really bad, they have still found a way to get one win against the Bengals.
AFC North is always tough.
So I'll agree with you, 5-1. And what'd you say the floor was?
3-3.
3-3.
They lose to Denver, lose a game to Pittsburgh, and then lose to Cleveland. I don't think they're going to lose to Denver or Tennessee.
Oh, man. Yeah, I would say 3-3, but I'm going to disagree on I think Dallas maybe would be a tougher opponent. So, like, lose to Dallas, Cleveland, and then one of the Pittsburgh games. But.
Okay. Oh, wait, what did I say?
Denver.
Oh, sorry. My bad. That's what I meant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My apologies on that one. Thank you for correcting me that. Yeah, so
Oh no, you're good.
Dallas, Cleveland, and one of the Pittsburgh game I think is going to be what would be their floor if they lose those games.
Yeah.
And so kind of with that, then that puts 8-9 as their floor, and then 14-3 as their ceiling, and it kind of fits as well to kind of what our record predictions would be. So 14-3 and 8-9 are going to be on the opposite ends of the bell curve. You had them going 12-5. I had them going 10-7.
Mm-hmm.
So a little bit of a separation there, but still kind of say fairly in the middle of the overall bell curve. And that's kind of what I expect. Like I think at minimum, this team should be vying for a wild card spot. I think they're one of the top 7 teams in the AFC at worst when healthy. I think Joe Burrow is still one of the better quarterbacks. And I think I saw something too this offseason, how is Joe Burrow overrated? And I'm like, it was not like in 2022, like they were a couple seconds away from going back to the Super Bowl. And so
I mean, in 2021, they were a couple seconds away from winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's a good point as well, like just the year before. So I think they have a good thing going. I think they just need to just stay healthy. They need to not start out so freaking slow and get behind the 8 ball, especially with how good the AFC is. They need to come out and they need to beat New England. They need to play at minimum play hard against Kansas City. And they really need to run the table in those first 6 games as well, because there are 2 tough games, but the 4 on paper fairly easy games. That shouldn't be an issue. But if they can do that, I can see them having a double-digit win count, depending on how tiebreakers goes. But I think 10-7 should get you in the playoffs, just with how good the AFC is, and all these teams are going to be beating each other. So a 10-7 record at minimum, I think, gets you in the playoffs. And then from there, who knows? As we saw a couple years ago, they made it all the way to the Super Bowl, being a wild card team going up against they technically were. They won the division, the AFC North, but went into Tennessee, beat them, and then went into Kansas City and beat them. I think on the last second field goal, and then barely lost to the Rams in the Super Bowl. So that was just a couple years ago. And in general, the team is relatively the same overall. I mean, obviously some personnel changes, but the major core pieces from that Super Bowl run are still going to be there.
Yeah, and that's my big thing with the Bengals is all the talents there. Can they put it together? Because we've seen them play non-playoff caliber football with this exact roster, and we've also seen them play Super Bowl caliber football with a very similar roster. So can they stay healthy, and can all the pieces kind of come together for them this year? And they're a very good team. The AFC North is the best division in football. Them and actually the NFC North, ironically. But those are the 2 best divisions in football, and it's not even close. So yeah. But let's go ahead and wrap it up here for the Cincinnati Bengals. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on what you think the Bengals' floor and ceiling will be in 2024, and on that, we will see you guys next time.